Is it worth it for a fighter to join the UFC? Go ahead.
I feel strongly that it's the best option for fighters to join the UFC. If this is what you want and you want to be the best, then you have to chase your dreams at the highest caliber level, which I believe is the UFC. It gives you the most exposure. It's basically the NFL of football. It's the NBA of basketball. The UFC is the most known organization. I believe MMA fighters should aspire to try to reach that upper echelon of fighting to really test their skills and test themselves.
Well, okay, so now you say it's like NBA, it's like NFL, but people who sit on the bench on the NFL get at least what 200,000 a year, at least six figures. You have people that's joining the UFC that can't even pay their bills. You know what I mean? So yes, if you want to. So my argument, yes, it's okay if you want to join the UFC to test your skills. Okay, that's something. You're against the best. But what about money? Like we've seen that the UFC isn't about fighting; it's about money. Who a fighter that's 10-0 has much less clout than a fighter that's 5-2 but has a social media presence behind him. It's an entertainment game. You know what I mean? Now, with that being said, who are the top dogs? You got McGregor, you have Habib, you have Jones, you have uh
Masvidal's very entertaining. Are you talking
Masvidal.
about and
Yeah, you have Nate, Sugar Sean,
Sugar Sean
right?
and Nate? Yeah.
And that's what we could probably name seven more. That's out of 600 in the roster. So like 15 fighters out of 600 in the roster are making decent amount of money. How is that worth it? How is it worth the brain damage, the toll on your body? Like, where does it get you in the end? That's my premise.
All dreams come with downsides. That's the unfortunate fight of fighting that you take these risks. On the upside, though, you named a couple guys who are able to really market themselves well. In the past, fighters were able to have more sponsors and sponsorships and were able to get money that way and rock the sponsorships on their shorts. They can't do that now. But I believe where MMA is going, which is online and social media, that they're going to be able to market themselves again like they once were able to and be able to control the income and hype their income up. Yeah, they may not get the big check from Dana White like they want to, but if they up themselves, if they up their skill level when it comes to marketing, then they'll get the money that they want. I believe there's a woman who fights for Bellator, actually, one of the main competitors of the UFC. Her name is Pearl Gonzalez, and she makes a lot of money off of her Instagram. Paige Van Zant was in the UFC. The UFC gave her a platform to make a lot of money on her Instagram. So maybe the UFC is a great building block for you to get that starting platform to help you get that social media exposure, which is going to be cashing your checks.
See now, what I have to say about that, it's almost as starting your own platform and gaining a following as easy as one, two, three. It's like if everybody was special, like who is special? So I don't think it's as easy as okay, you start a platform. I think you actually have to have a charismatic personality. You have to actually be that person that people want to look at, people want to see. The extra combat skills compounds that and it propels you into superstardom, right? But the little kid Dariush, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
Dariush, crazy fighter. Real talk. I'm really not trying to see Dariush. I understand that he's nice with it. He's nice, but to me, I think he's very boring. But who cares what I think? The dude is winning fights and he's a solid fighter, but I don't want to see him. So how is that his fault? Because that business model doesn't. When it comes to the UFC business model, it is can you attract people? It's not can you win fights. What do you guys say about that?
I would actually agree. Just because we have different stances on whether it's worth it or not to try to hit the highest level of MMA doesn't mean I disagree that the UFC is about can you attract people. But one thing still remains the same. What puts butts in seats, I believe, is guys who have those quick finishes. Look at a Francis Ngannou. He's similar to Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson was in his prime, knocking everybody out, Francis is in his prime, knocking everyone out. He had one setback, which was Stipe. He rewrote that wrong and knocked out Stipe. So yes, having a big mouth really does attract fans, but you have to back it up as well. I think it's actually better to not have a big mouth and just to have the skills to get those quick finishes. You get those quick finishes and you fight 4 times, 5 times a year, you stay in people's face with high skill levels, you're gonna get pushed to the top. But if you talk a lot and you finish people quickly, you're really gonna get pushed to the top. Like a Kevin Holland when he was on that 5-fight win streak and he was talking ruthlessly, saying the most crazy things to his opponents. He was able to really get a platform that way, and he became a household name. So it's not easy, but it can be done.
So I'm gonna piggyback off of what you just said because it's actually true. Like you could still put on high technical, high skill fights and lose. Because you look at Bobby Green, he's on like the next card on like a couple of cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With that being said, you actually had when we discussed this last time, you actually brought up a very good point, and I'd like you to say it. You said that these people are going to be fighting anyway. Remember you were saying that? Like these guys are going to be fighting on the amateur level anyway, so why not do it at the highest level?
Yeah. So I stand with that point. Me being an amateur fighter, if I'm gonna be fighting anyway at the amateur level, why not get paid for it? You're taking the same amount of damage, you're putting in the same amount of reps. You might as well go all the way and try to push yourself and see how far you can get.
Okay. All right.
And
Okay,
I'd
go
like to
ahead.
bring up your point about Bobby Green. I follow him on social media just because I'm a fan of his. But I'm a fan of his not because of how much he talks, but because of his fighting style. If you're a dog and you know how to fight and you're interested and you have a skill that's fun to watch, Bobby Green has great head movement. That is very fun to watch. That is gonna make me turn on the TV on a Friday night when he's on the main card at spot number 2 or spot number 1. I'm going to click in to see Bobby Green because he has a style that's appealing to watch. He has slick head movement with crisp boxing and good kicks and is all around talented. Talent is still going to get you pushed in the UFC. And one thing about that is if you're talented and you keep your mouth shut, if you have those ups and downs, they're not looking to cut you like someone who's struggling but talk too much at one point. If you talk too much and you start losing, they're going to be looking to cut you.
Right. So my argument was that I don't see the point of joining the UFC based on the statistical data. If you look at the data, the odds of you making a livable wage is slim to none. But what you are saying is that, yes, that may be the case. It is slim to none. But that's the game. We're not all on equal playing fields. If you want to make it, you're going to have to put in the work. And if you want to make it to that level, yes, you're going to have to go through that flame. Is that what you're saying?
In a way, I am saying that when you sign up for this, you know what you're getting into. Do I believe that the pay wage can change and should change? Yes. That's up to the fighters to create a fighter union, which is a whole nother topic that we can ramble on another time. But at the current moment, the game is the top dog gets the bread. It's a ruthless game. It's the same way in boxing. Top dog gets the bread unless you have the skills to back it up on the mic.
That's true.
And you brought up something that was interesting. You said you gotta be a charismatic person to get these followings, these Twitter follows, these Instagram follows, Snapchat, etc. That may be true. One of my favorite boxers is actually one of the most charismatic people there is, Sugar Ray Leonard. having that charisma really does help because it brings people to want to see you. So maybe fighters should focus on fighting, but also focus on maybe character a little bit. What type of character do you want to do you want people to see you as after you get that big knockout? What's the first thing you're gonna say? Maybe they should practice that. After you get that quick submission, what's the first thing? Are you gonna have a heel character like the WWE? Pretend to be a bad guy, or are you gonna be authentic? I don't know. That's up to the fighter.
Well, based on your argument, then I concede. I concede my argument, and I give it to you because it makes sense. If you want to, no one's forcing you to jump in the game. It's a rough game. The fight game is a tough, perilous game. And if you jump in these hot waters, you got to be ready to swim with the sharks. So yeah, good debate, man. I agree.
All right, man.
All right, let me